is what you get. Hey, lean with it, rock with it, lean with it, rock with it, lean with it. Hey, lean with it. Look at you
Okay.
over there messing up. Hey, hey, hey. What was
You
that
ready?
song we were singing this weekend? I forgot. Tippy. Was it Tippy? I don't know. Anyway, go ahead
I
and
have no
count down.
idea. All right. Hey, hey, hey. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Welcome to Occasionally Posh, where we enjoy life, laughs, and shenanigans. I am your girl, Chassie B.
And I'm Sunshine. Welcome, 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 welcome,
Welcome.
welcome, 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 welcome to Occasionally Pod. Sorry, y'all,
Hey.
we lit. But thank you so much for the folks who have already joined in. If you don't mind, please go and share, and please comment along as we go through our interesting topics. And thank you, Sam. Sam said he loved the intro. Thank you. I wrote that
Thank you.
last
That was
night.
all
I got
me.
that last night. We always start with a foreplay and Chasey B's first.
So, would you rather be dumped or do the dumping?
Mm. You would think I would already have an answer to this since I already knew it, but I don't. Both of it suck. I probably rather be dumped.
Listen, mine is the
That's
same answer.
terrible.
I'd rather be dumped. But why is that your answer? I want to see if it's the same.
Oh no, because I don't like the complication that comes along with explaining why I'm dumping somebody. I guess I don't know. It's hard. You
I'd
can't
rather
just be
be
like,
dumped
I
because
just
I don't
got
want to
down
be the
there.
bad person.
Right. I'll be like, I can't just be like, I just don't like you and we be done with it. Like, you got to have an explanation.
Right,
And it's got
right,
to be clear.
right.
And a lot of times people don't take the explanation that you give them.
Exactly. And I don't want to explain myself. So then I'd rather
Right.
just make you angry and then you just dump me.
Right. I ain't say all that now. I did not say all that. But I don't want to be dumped either. But it might be easier. I guess it wouldn't be easier though if you wouldn't expect it.
This is true. Now, this is true.
But if
So,
I had to
yeah.
choose, I guess. Uh, Sam said he rather do the. He said pumping, but I'm guessing he me dumping. Uh, so he can be prepared. I feel you there. You can be prepared. This is true, but to a certain extent, like you don't really know how somebody is gonna react, and then you might think in your head that they might react one way, and then they act either one, two things happen. Either they overreact and you don't know how to explain, or either go past it, or they underreact and you be like, "Oh, that's how you felt."
Right. That's what I was about to say. You like, wait a minute. I don't understand why you not fighting for me. Like I'm saying,
Right.
dumping you. We supposed to be in love, and you just saying, okay.
Which is so stupid because if you wanted to not be with him, why you care? But because of our little ego, insecurity, whatever you want to call it, we're gonna be like, I'm gonna dump you. You better cry, okay?
You better pay me in tears. Doggone it.
Wow, he said, I don't care how they react. It's gonna be in a text.
Bye, Sam. Bye.
I fully understand. Old me done the same thing, honey.
I got dumped through a
Avoid
text.
like a mug. Avoid.
I done got dumped through a text, and I done dumped through a text.
I don't know if I ever got dumped through a text. I don't think I've ever got dumped through a text. They would probably feel horrible, but I definitely have dumped through a text, which is horrible.
It hurt my souls. All my inside parts was like, ugh.
But the rest of y'all that are watching, how do you feel? Would you rather be dumped or do the dumping? Okay, we would love to know how you feel. So mine is, would you rather date someone who never talks about your future together or that has never been single for more than 2 weeks?
Ooh. Both are absolutely horrible.
Horrible, but would you rather? What would you rather?
If I had to choose the lesser of two evils, Trump or Biden, I'm gonna choose.
I'm done. Continue.
Oh my God. I don't want to be up in limbo and not know what's going on or how you feel about me. So I would rather date someone that has never been single for more than 2 weeks. Even though that's horrible.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like, that would be bad because are you even healing or anything from your relationship?
Right.
Like, have you had time to learn anything, grow, love yourself? Any of that? Probably not.
None of it.
But I would rather have somebody who was sure in what they wanted than to have somebody who don't know or playing with you or playing games. So right. I agree. But both of them is horrible. Let's be clear. Both is horrible. But what do y'all guys think that are watching? Would you rather date someone who never talks about your future together or that has never been single for more than 2 weeks? 2 weeks. Why in the world would you want to be in back-to-back relationships like that?
Child, I need some time to sit in the bed and look at Netflix.
Being single is hard. Right. Being single is hard. Like,
it ain't that hard.
It's hard. Okay.
It ain't that hard.
She say that now to that battery die. No, let me stop.
It's rechargeable. I don't need batteries. All I got to do is put it on the charger.
You know what? I'm done. So for those who have just joined, we did our 2 foreplay questions. And one was, would you rather be dumped or do the dumping? And the other is, would you rather date someone who never talks about your future together or that has never been single for more than 2 weeks? I see some extra comments. D said the latter, but both is brutal, which is correct. Sam said never talk about the future. It's not promised because both of us can leave before it happens.
True, but what if you want to stay and then they don't talk about the future and then you're just up in limbo? Like you're just there because you're hoping that it's going to be a future, but then that person's just like
right. And reality of it is that, like, you honestly, if you're dating seriously and with a purpose, you should find out what they are looking for from the relationship before you even get serious, honestly. But a lot of people just casually date or, hug up on each other, sleep together, all that stuff. And then they be like, oh, okay, I assume you want to be with me forever.
Child.
Then they be mad because the person never talked about the future.
That's when I ain't got in my contact in my right eye and them red flags be looking yellow.
Facts. Complete facts. Complete facts. All right. So as y'all seen on the flyer, we decided to talk about red flags because for some reason this week it is a trend. I don't even know how I got started because I'm old. But we decided to talk about we decided to talk about red flags. So first I wanted to go through a couple of definitions of what red flags are. So in general, just a regular definition of red flags, it means a warning of danger. Kind of common sense. On the friendship side, it said red flags is a one-sided friendship or someone that tries to isolate you from others. This also could be someone that is using your friendship to make themselves feel good, which we all have dealt with that in one way, form, or fashion. And then, of course, what the most obvious thing is in a relationship. And this is signs that the person probably can't have a healthy relationship yet, proceeds down the road together, which is emotionally dangerous. So who do you think this ain't on the agenda, but who do you think ignores red flags more, men or women?
I think I was gonna say women, but I think that men may ignore red flags more. And I'm thinking from logical and not personal experience. I think a lot of the times, a lot of men that I've known in my passing, they have dealt with and had babies by women that were horrible and make it hard for them to be able to see their kids and just all this, like just a whole bunch of unnecessary BS. And I feel like those were signs that they probably could have seen prior before having a child, which I could say the same thing about us women. We
Right.
go through the same thing. But I think that men deal with it more than women deal with as far as whenever it comes to like kids. Men deal with not being in their kids' life because of bitter women. And I feel like a lot of the times they ignore those red flags because they just want to get their penis wet.
Wow, she went there. So yes, I agree. I do think all of that is true. All of it. But I think I disagree that it's men more. I think women ignore red flags more. And I feel like that's mostly because we feel like, well, we are told a lot that we are too hard on men, especially in our communities. We too hard on men, or we expecting something that we that's not
attainable.
It's obtainable, or things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we second guess ourselves way more when it comes to seeing things because of what we hear, what people say. I mean, and it ain't just men, it's women and men. So when actually a lot of women are more hard on women than men are hard on women, just to be totally honest. So I feel like all of that combined with how women were back in the day and some of that still being said to you by the older generation and how the churches feel about women. I mean, just all these different things. I feel like women ignore them more because they feel like they have to be more careful or don't want to overreact or scared to express what they want and not have any lashback or things of that nature. That's just my opinion. But
yeah, I agree. But then I also I agree. And then I also disagree. So I disagree in the sense of I think that like now with social media, all these men, they bash women and all this kind of stuff. And I think it comes from a place of hurt because they ignored the red flags and now they're so hurt. So they bash women so much that now women are coming back bashing men just as much as the men are bashing women. It might be 50-50, honestly. It might just be 50-50.
It might be. We are learning as we learn all these wonderful topics that stuff is starting to balance out.
Right.
It's starting to balance out, whether we like it or not. So you might be right. You definitely might be right. But Yeah, what y'all think that's watching? I see Sam commented. He said he think women ignore red flags more. And I definitely agree. I definitely agree. So right, so there is you mentioned yellow flags, and during the research, it actually mentioned yellow flags, which is kind of I thought you were just playing, but it's a real thing. So it says there is a difference between red flags and yellow flags. Red flags indicate a reason to back away from a relationship, while yellow flags are less severe and caution you to slow down. So it says both flags vary according to your personal needs and wants, but red flags can be more universal. So example of a yellow flag is difficult with emotional communication. So somebody not able to express how they feeling in a moment. Red flags can include domestic violence, chronic cheating, or substance abuse. So, did you realize there was a difference between yellow flags and red flags? I guess you did because you mentioned it, or was you just playing?
I was just playing, but I think I kind of did realize it because I feel like there are certain things that you can deal with, and then there's certain things that you absolutely will not deal with. You just never put it to red light, green light,
Right.
yellow light, whatever, or flag or whatever. So yeah, no, yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think to me, red flags are deal breakers. At the end of the day, we just ignore them. Yellow flags are things that may not be quite right, but they can be worked on, as long as both
Right.
parties are willing to work on it and take the time and
Because then it
communicate.
becomes a red flag.
Right, exactly. So there are so many different red flags to discuss, like lying, drug use, mental health issues, abuse, infidelity, etc. Researching this topic, we'd be here all night and we talk about every single thing. But I kind of wanted to cover the things that people ignore the most. So not the obvious ones that people I know about, the people that just the ones that you see on a daily basis, especially I've done it. Oh, damn, you kind of
Pretty sure I've done it. Probably doing it now.
So right. So number one on the list was mismatch relationship goals. So whenever number one, you either don't discuss your relationship goals or you hear them and you ignore the fact that y'all don't agree on where to live, if you want children or not, and how many children you want. And number one deal breaker of reason of divorces, finances. So how you handle finances. Do you agree with that's like probably top three reasons, flags that people ignore?
Yes.
Why do you think
Absolutely.
that is? What do you think people think if they just go on with this relationship that it's just gonna work itself out?
I think that people think that they can change people or
Mm.
that they'll change their opinion or whatever as the relationship grows and or they think that they can raise somebody to be what they want them to be. But as K. Michelle said, you can't raise a man
Wow.
or a woman because we're being fair.
Right.
You can't raise somebody to be what you want them to be. But I think a lot of the times we go into relationships, even friendships, thinking that somebody is going to be better than it's going to be what we want them to be. And it
Right.
doesn't necessarily always happen. And then you're like 10, 15, 20 years in, and that
Mm-hmm.
person is still stuck at where they're stuck at.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. And I know most of this is going to be about relationships, but that happens in friendships as well.
Mhm.
Sometimes you align yourself, or maybe you just knew somebody growing up, or whatever the case may be. And now the way you live your life is not aligned with each other. Like somebody may not want to work or provide or want to go out every night, but you realize I got to be grown at the end of the day and I got to go home, or you know what I'm saying? Things of that
Right.
nature. And sometimes friends butt heads over being mismatched or aligned, because y'all just don't see eye to eye, and then one person think you just being up, and then the other person think you just not having enough fun, or whatever the case may be. So it's not just in relationships; it happens over all walks of life. And I
Right.
just wonder why we can't be honest with each other at the end of the day. Like,
I
what's wrong
think
with
that it
agreeing or
boils
disagreeing and moving on?
right. I think honestly, I think it boils down to insecurity.
Mm.
Whether it's a friendship or a relationship. And friendships is like I'm insecure in where you are with whatever is going on in your life. And so I'm upset because you're doing whatever you're doing in your life. So we're not going to be friends. And I think that a lot of the times it's just that people grow at different paces. And although that person may not be for you today, they may be for you tomorrow.
Right.
And you just need to realize that people are growing, and everybody's not growing at the same pace. Everybody doesn't get watered at the same time. It's just like whenever you grow in a garden, some of your flowers may grow bigger than the other flowers, but then those
Right.
other ones may come up and flourish bigger than the ones that was already growing faster.
Right.
And a lot of
Right.
people forget that. I forget that.
Right.
As
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
gotten
Most
older, I've
definitely.
gotten better.
Yes. Same. Completely the same. So number 2 of it was jealousy or distrust, and it highlighted insecurities. So we see insecurities in each other and we ignore them, or we feel like it's just a moment or whatever. Have you ever been in a relationship where you seen somebody's insecurities and you ignored them?
Yes.
You had to think about that long.
Yeah. I have. And I think that my insecurities have been ignored as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Same, exact. And then number 3 was they always calling their exes crazy, or they're obsessed with the ex. What do you feel about that?
Oh, honey. That right there, we had a conversation about that. Right now, that is like a major red flag when it comes to me talking to any guy right now in the future. If he brings up his ex too often, I'm done.
You
I'm
done.
not gonna discuss it. It's
Right. Right. I mean, it's okay to talk about it a little bit because you want to know where people came from or what they experienced or things of that nature. But
right.
if you just constantly talking about them, or you comparing stuff in your current relationship to your past relationship or things of that nature, either you ain't over them or you just ain't over the hurt that you went through in the relationship. So you
Right.
shouldn't be talking to me or whoever if that's the case.
Right. You need
But
to go see the lady about what you was dealing with back then so you can
that's
get
right.
over it and then come to me. Because
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
don't care. Like I don't care that your baby mama ain't letting you see your child. If you're not doing what you're supposed to do to be able to go see your child, then that's on you. You need to figure that out
Honey,
and don't bring that to me.
honey, that'd be a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But I cannot stand for a man to be like, "Oh, women got all the power when it comes to the kids, and they
We
can
don't.
keep me from them, and blase blase." No, the same laws that protect me is the same laws that protect you.
Right.
The difference is I'm fighting, you not.
Look, a lot of the times the difference is you only want them whenever you want them, and she got to have them all the time. And then be
Well,
mad because she don't want to give them up whenever you want them.
honey, we're not gonna go there. They not gonna say that. Another conversation for another day. But the highlighted part of number 3 was, at the end of the day, are they taking responsibility for their part?
Is the red flaggers or
Well, yeah, the person in a relationship, if they continue to talk about their ex or
oh,
continue to bash their ex or obsessed with them, like at the end of the day, you
oh,
obviously you're hurt. But what was your part in it?
right.
Like either you did something alone to go with that hurt to make it bigger, or you ignored the red flags and then you got hurt at the end of that was the end goal of it.
Right.
Like, where's your responsibility of it is? Everybody, all your exes can't be crazy. Every single last one of them can't be
All of mine were. All of mine were.
No. And sometimes people are just not meant to be. But we got to end everything with he did this, she did that, he crazy, she crazy. Like sometimes y'all just want meant to be together.
This is true. This is true.
Part your ways and let it go.
You know, honestly, I will say I came from a place of, I'm not gonna say hurt. I think it was more disappointment at one point in time when it came to a certain person. I ain't gonna say it. But then as I've gotten older and matured and like had conversations with people, I realized that a lot of our downfall was because of me as well. And honestly,
Mm-hmm.
it was probably more me than it was him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've gotten to that point where I'm no longer blaming him or blaming me. It was equally both of our faults. But I know that honestly, I shouldn't have been in that situation in the first damn place. But thank God
Right.
for my kids.
Right. Hey, my kids saved my life. Okay. We're not gonna do that. The next point is control. They are controlling or have a controlling nature.
Mm.
So that means they may care who you talk to, where you go, how you spend your money, what you do online, what you wearing, what you going out with your girls or guys. You got on them gray sweatpants now. So just a controlling nature. They show you a little piece of it. You say, "Oh, that means he just cared," or "That means she just cared." Does it?
Nope. Absolutely not. It does
I
not.
never.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think it depends on the situation. Some people are looking for the best and they just want to make sure that nothing is going to happen to you and all that kind of stuff. But then there are certain situations where they just want to control you or the situation or whatever. I'll even bring it back to me because I told y'all this whenever I shared this, I was like, y'all come and listen to the red flags that I ignored. But
Mm-hmm.
I remember one day this was actually recent. I was talking to this guy. We had matched online, seemed really cool. And one day I had got off work and I had on a camisole under my long sleeve shirt that I had wore to work. So whenever I get home, of course, it's hot. It's cold in my office, so I got on a long sleeve jacket or whatever over it so nobody can see it. But I'm at home, I'm walking around in my house, and I have on the camisole. He's like, "You wore that to work?" Yes. And he was like, if whenever you my woman, you won't be wearing that type of stuff to work. Well, that will never happen because
Right.
number one,
Now,
if I do decide to take this further, you're not gonna change what I'm gonna wear.
right.
That's number one. I'm gonna wear whatever the hell I want to wear unless I decide that it's something that I don't want to wear. Number two,
Right.
there's nothing wrong with a camisole. Nothing at all. And I was covered
Nothing.
up all day at work. I took this
Right.
off at home in the comfort of my own house. And the fact that you got an issue with it even being under my shirt is a problem
Yeah.
for me.
Well, did
Because
he know? I mean, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. But did he know it was under your shirt when he said it?
he didn't, but then whenever I told him that it was under a shirt all day that was buttoned up and nobody saw it, he still had an issue with it. And I was like, red
Yeah.
flag, bye, bitch.
The fact that you had this, sorry, the fact that you had to explain yourself was red flag enough. Like,
Right.
if you with someone, where to trust? That's where it go back to that. Well, I think one of the points is trust, but trust. Like, we supposed to trust each other, feel confident in each other. You picked me for a reason. I picked you for a reason. Live in that. I think sometimes people focus too much on what other people are gonna do and not focus on what you're gonna. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if a guy holler at your girl, if a girl holler at your guy. Know and trust your partner and be done with it. And if
Right.
you don't, then that's the issue at hand. It's not what they do. It's the issue is you and them.
Or date somebody that don't nobody want. Nobody in the whole wide world don't want that person but you.
And then that mean they ain't gonna want them either. That mean they ain't gonna want them either. Okay. Okay. The next point that was kind of interesting to me is that it says that they cannot maintain friends outside of you.
Mm.
So it says this shows if they can build connections with others. Do you feel like that's important?
I I do. I
Say
do.
why to the people.
So I think that it's important because I feel like you need to be able to establish and keep friendships with other people. I always find it weird whenever women say that they don't have any friends. Like to
Hmm.
me that just sounds weird and it sounds like you are not a good person to be around because why don't you have friends? Why don't people want to be around you? Like are
Right.
you Sally what they call it, Sally Downer, something, Debbie
Oh,
Downer,
oh. Debbie Downer, yeah.
Debbie
Hmm.
Downer. Like, are you always a Debbie Downer? Are you a hater? Are you some like it's something about your characteristic that keeps people from not wanting to be around you. And I find that very, very, very odd. So why would I want to be in a relationship with anybody that can't keep friends?
Right. I mean, I agree with that to an extent. I think sometimes people are just not friends with folks because of their own insecurities and their own lack of knowing how to cohabitate or be friends with someone. Like, I don't feel like it's always that person, like who they are. Not always. I ain't saying something. Probably most of the time is the case. But I'm saying sometimes people just don't know how to interact with folks or how to, you know what I'm saying? Even me as a person, like I have to realize, like me and my partner, like I'm more of, I can be friends with anybody. I can talk to anybody. It'd be a stranger on the street. We can have a full conversation.
Right.
For him, it takes a little bit of knowing who is this person, knowing who they are, him getting a little more comfortable. Sometimes people just never get comfortable.
So that right there is understandable, like taking the time to get to know people and getting comfortable with somebody and not necessarily getting comfortable with everybody. That's different than I have no friends at all.
Right.
The only person I got is my boyfriend or my husband or whatever. Like, that's weird. Nobody likes your husband?
Well, what about
you see? And does he really like you?
What about on the flip side? Is there such thing as having too many friends?
No, I don't think so. I think, but you have to know how to balance everybody.
Right.
Everybody is not meant for every moment. And you have to know how to balance every friend for whatever moment that they need to be in your life for.
Yeah. I feel like there may be instances where it's too many friends, but I also feel like people give people titles that don't make sense. Sometimes this person ain't your friend. Y'all acquaintances, or y'all work together, y'all go to church together, or whatever the case be. That don't mean y'all friends.
Right.
And so I feel like sometimes people just, I love everybody and everybody my friend. No, like I can get along with anybody, but if I had to list out like who my true friends is, you might get a good 3-4. Okay, just everybody got a purpose in your life for certain things. Everybody ain't your friend. Like,
you know me, I'm the person y'all be saying, I said they got too many friends. But I got a friend for like every single thing, I think. And like I might have a church friend, or I may have a niggas ain't shit friend, or I might have a I want a relationship friend, or I have a going out friend. Like I have friends for different moments and different walks of life. But at the end of the day, they're all my friends. And I love everybody.
You go ahead. I got about a good 3-4 friends. Okay. No, I need to stop. I love everybody, but just saying. Anywho, the next point was
she lying, y'all.
The next point is they lack emotional intimacy, or they have difficulty sharing feelings. So I've definitely been in relationships where that is the case. I know, don't say I'm male bashing, please, but especially for men. Men have a heart when it comes time to be vulnerable, like really be vulnerable. Deep down in there, y'all feel like, oh, no, I can't do that. I got to suck it up. I'm a man. That's true to an extent. But if you're with someone and you dating a woman and y'all supposed to be together and y'all supposed to be all in all, or whatever the case may be, like, you're supposed to be able to be vulnerable with each other.
Right. I agree.
But sometimes that ain't the case, and I wonder why.
Society has made it hard for men to be soft and vulnerable.
Right.
Which sucks, because it's crazy, because as women, we talk about being soft and vulnerable at certain points, but then whenever they're not soft and vulnerable, whenever we want them to be it,
we talk about it too. You're right. You're right. You definitely right.
I'm like, look at this old soft man.
Right.
Soft. But then whenever I want you to tell me you love me and you don't, then I'm mad, because I'm like, why he ain't in his feelings? Well, he was in his feelings the other day whenever he was playing with that kitty cat and you call him soft.
I'm done. I can't with her. But yeah, I definitely agree. I do think women are very confusing when it comes to expressing what they want from a man. Like, what? Not you? Y'all believe it? Anywho, they are very confusing. We say we want somebody who ain't gonna be a crybaby, but we want them to cry when the right moment hit. Or we want want a man who gonna express their feelings, but if they express it more than me, something ain't right with him. Like, we could be very confusing when it comes to.
That's true.
It's right. She want to be against me so bad, but she knows it's true. We can be very confusing when it comes to saying what we want from a man.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. This is something that drives me absolutely nuts when I'm talking to a guy or trying to get to know a guy, and he be like, "Hello, beautiful. Good morning, beautiful. How are you? You're so beautiful." Now it drives me fucking nuts. I hate it. But let me get in a relationship and a man not tell me that I'm beautiful. I'm going to be mad as fire.
I need you to get it together. I'm gonna need you to get together. But it is very true. It's very true. Women are very confusing creatures.
Not
we need
me.
to get it together.
I'm telling y'all. I'm telling y'all.
I can't. Anywho, moving on. The next point was inability to resolve conflicts. So what relates to me for this is that we have an argument or a disagreement, and then we just fight about it, sweep it under the rug, and then move on like it never happened and never talked about it. That was mine. That's me. And then next thing you know, you arguing about sugar, and you be like, "But you said something for 4 weeks ago."
Right. Based off of 4 weeks ago.
Yeah. So I think a lot of us just don't have the tools. Like me growing up, I never really seen great conflict communication in my household.
Right.
Like the only time I even know my mom and whoever, my dad and whoever was having some kind of conflict is because we heard yelling. And that was it. Like we never seen good examples of conflict resolution.
Right. This is true. This is something that we have to. I think that now, even though we're older and we're like the older generation, I feel like we are learning things that our parents never taught us. And as a generation, we're teaching our kids. I pray that our kids are going to be so much better and so much more in tune with things that we're not in tune with, because we're learning these things and we're hopefully teaching it to our kids. I'm hoping.
Right.
It's not always the case. But I agree. I think that we don't communicate effectively. And even though I done learned certain tools, I still don't necessarily use it in an argument. I want to get my point across, and I want you to know why you are considered wet baby nuts to me. And
or I'm too busy trying to be petty and win.
Right.
Guilty.
Like, I didn't hear you because your left eye was looking over there in the kitchen. I'm over here in the living room. Like, why did you have to bring that up right now?
I am done. Yeah, I be trying to be better with my kids as well, but I definitely I hear myself sometimes. Like I say something to my oldest son, because my youngest son ain't old enough to know nobody yet. And I'm saying some stuff to him, and I'm like, that ain't right. But then I don't go fix it. Like, why you say that, Ma? Because I said so. Which ain't really teaching him nothing.
Right.
That's what we was told growing up.
Right.
I'm grown, and I said, you not the parent. You don't pay no bills. Don't be asking no questions.
Or that famous
the same thing.
Or that famous don't do as I do as I say. But I'm seeing what you're doing, but you're telling me to do something totally different. That doesn't make sense.
Facts. The only difference between the kids now and the kids and us back then is that kids will vocalize when you ain't right. Me, if my mama said it, that was just what it was. When my daddy said it, that's just what it was. We might have said something under our breath or when we get to the room. But we wouldn't dare say it to them.
And now
my son will straight out tell me, but you did this. And
get out of my face. Stop calling me
out. I still ain't teaching them right. And I'm still ain't teaching them right. Anyway, let's move on.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Right. So another next point, which is really big, I feel, is that you feel the need to not be fully 100% yourself. So as you're in a relationship and you're learning each other, the more you get to know someone, the more you should feel more comfortable being yourself. But a lot of times in relationships, we learn that the opposite sex or our partner, whatever, doesn't like certain things, doesn't agree with certain things. And instead of us being like, I'm going to be this way because this is who I am, we find ourselves not doing that. Do you agree?
I agree.
Why do you think that is? Why are we so scared as humans to be 100% ourselves?
I don't know. I'm trying. I strive to be 100% myself at this moment. I think that's why I'm still single, because I'm like, baby, you're going to take all of this.
Right.
Or you ain't going to get none of it at all. So I don't want to go into a relationship trying to be what you want me to be just to catch you. And then in a year, I'm tired of being who you want me to be. And then I have to be who I want to be. And then we're bumping heads.
Right.
I don't want to necessarily do that now.
Right. And that's something I've been saying a lot lately. I think I put it as my Facebook status, my Twitter, whatever. I'm like, quit lying to people about things and then be mad at them when they learn the truth.
Right.
And it's so true. Like, you showed me your agent, but then now you giving me the real you, and you like, you don't like the real me. But that's not my fault.
That's not who I knew. That's not who I fell in love with. That's
not my fault. But then you claiming or arguing, oh, you can't take me as I am, or you don't. But whose fault is it at the end of the day?
Right.
Like, you wanted to dress like a hoochie, but then you mad because old boy don't like you for dressing like a hoochie. Like dressing like a, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, you wanted to dress like a hoochie, but then you got with him and started covering up. But then when you want to dress like a hoochie again, he mad at you. Like, he showed you what he needed from the beginning.
Right.
You knew what you needed to be from the beginning.
Right.
Don't be mad whenever it comes to shed his light and then it don't work out.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Because I don't necessarily dress like a hoochie, but guess what? This ass ain't going nowhere. It ain't no hiding it. It ain't no hiding it. And I ain't going to try to hide it. That was one of the other things that the dude didn't like. I don't like girls that wear tight jeans. Dude, if I wore pajamas, you can still see this ass. So what's the difference?
You wear a sheet and you going to see that booty. Okay.
So what's the difference? I ain't changing. I'm not changing. I'm going to still wear my pants.
Right. And that was one of the points I was trying to make whenever we had joined a podcast about somebody being poly or whatever. And then the comment was made is that because somebody had said that why didn't you tell that person from the beginning that that's what you was looking for? And then that person said, because I already know the stigma against it, and I know women wouldn't like to hear that. But then now y'all arguing. I ain't saying they are. This is just my analysis of it. Now y'all arguing because that your partner doesn't want that when you just didn't say that in the beginning because you know they weren't going to accept it. Right. But then that's their fault because they not accepting it.
Right.
It don't make sense.
I feel like we need to have like real honest, true conversations from the beginning, even if it's something that's so minor. Like for me, I strive for something monogamous. However, I am open to poly. I'm very open to poly, probably more open than monogamy. However, I need the monogamous part before I go to the poly part. I know that's something that I need because I have to fulfill an insecurity within myself before I can even strive to the next step of poly. So I feel like that's a conversation that I have to have in order to be able to have a good relationship with whoever I'm having a relationship. Not saying that poly is going to be something in the future, but it is something that I could possibly do and be okay with it. And I need to make sure that my partner is going to be okay with it.
That's too much work, in my opinion.
It ain't too much work.
Chris
too much
said
work whenever you got to lie about it.
Chris said there are things about yourself you don't particularly like, so why should your partner like everything? Like is one thing, accept
is another
another.
thing. Amen.
That's all I got for it. Because that is true. It's some things that I'm not gonna like about myself, so I shouldn't expect someone else to like. That is totally true. But that doesn't automatically mean what I don't like about myself is gonna just go away.
Right.
So that's my only comment about that. That's all I'm Anywho, let's move on. So this is one you had brought up. Your family and friends express concerns. Is that a red flag in your book?
It used to be. It still is. So it used to be to the point of this person ain't for me at all whatsoever. My friends and family don't like them. I'm not going to move forward. And then it came to a point where they may be jealous. So then I was like, whatever. They don't know what they're talking about. And then I was absolutely wrong and they was right. So now I'm at a point where I have to decipher what is true, honest, genuine concern and what is true, honest, genuine hate.
Right. I definitely agree with that. I mean, if they have a few red flags, a lot of times once a parent or a friend meet your partner, they're just meeting like one piece of them or one part of them. Like if you're dating that person or if you're seriously with that person, you hopefully know all parts of them.
Right.
So you're making a better analysis than what they are saying. That's one side of it. But there are some obvious things that can make somebody say, hey, that ain't right. And you just ignore. And that could be an issue. So like they saying that with you monogamously, but then they see them out with somebody at the club. Like there's something like that women do or men can't ignore that a family is expressing. So I'm not saying that it's not possible for them to be giving you a true warning or a true red flag. But my question is, how do you figure out or how do you see whether it's just them being overly critical or if it's an obvious red flag?
I think you should take note of what the family or friends said and see if you can see those red flags that the family or friend pointed out. And then if you see it, if it's a deal breaker for you, then, and if you see it and you be like, oh, it's not that serious, like they made it way more than what it is, then keep on going for what you're going for. I think too often we think that people are hating on us and they're not necessarily hating. And I think they are just want the best for us.
Right.
And we don't see it in that moment. And we think that, oh, she just jealous. She just saying that because she just hating and all that kind of stuff. We're all guilty of it. We all done it. And then come 5 years from now, like, you know what? She was right.
Facts. And like I said, there's some obvious things that that like if they show abusive tendencies or if they have a overly jealous attitude, there's some things that they are seeing that's totally true and we just don't want to hear it. So I definitely think you should hear it and take it in. But like you said, I think they should, do what they need to do at the end of the day.
Accordingly. Everybody ain't hating on you, boo. Some people love you.
Exactly. Some people just want the best for you. Listen.
Okay. And listen, I realize that that's one of my problems whenever it comes to my friends. I always want the best for my friends. And I don't feel like none of the men that they be dating is on the level that my friends deserve.
Wow.
And I'm like, mm.
Mm, mm.
Friends,
One thing that
family,
I
everybody.
right. One thing that I want to point out that I know that happens a lot, which I had to learn this the hard way myself, is that a lot of times when people are in relationships, when they're talking to their friends or family, they only give the bad point of view. So, of course, whenever they're giving you advice or they talking about your man or woman or whatever the case may be, they're gonna be like, "He ain't good for you. He ain't or she ain't worth it." But all you telling them is the bad stuff, and then you mad at them when they don't like them.
But listen, because I'm already ready to cut their throat for you. And then you coming
Right.
over here telling me, oh, he made me sad today. Well, bitch, let's go cut his throat. Cut some pinky toes off. Like, we can go ahead and end this right now. And it may
Yeah.
not necessarily be the right advice.
Right, exactly.
All he did was then put up the cups after he washed them.
He left his little towel on the floor and that was it. Okay.
But I
Not
done
the
went
end of
to
the
the
world.
extreme.
Anywho, let's move on. So I can't. So the next point was you're conceding more rather than compromising. So
Mm-mm.
are both of y'all giving and taking in the relationship? How big you think that is? Do you think
That is very, 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 very important. You can't concede all the time.
mm-hmm.
Cannot concede. It has to be compromised in every aspect of every day. It has to be compromised. It can't be one person conceding to everything and they're miserable because they want their partner to be happy, and then they're like, another person's like,
Right.
yay,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
my husband, and then the husband's like, yeah,
Honey.
ditto.
One thing you learn in marriage that I had to learn is that sometimes you just gotta pick your battle.
Mm.
Everything ain't got to be as big
Everything
as you
ain't got to
making
be a
it.
battle. Everything does not have to be a battle. I
Everything ain't
agree.
gotta be as big as you make it. That
However,
don't mean ignore things. I'm not
right,
saying
that's what I
that.
was about to say. However, do
I'm not
not
saying
ignore
that.
things, and if it's a battle that you don't want to fight, let it be a battle that you are okay with conceding in. Don't let it be
Right.
something that you're going to keep bringing back up.
Right. Right. And Regina laughing at you. But right.
Regina, I will slash some out of tires for you if you need me to. Cut some pinky
Really? You
fingers
better
off.
twice. Okay. Uh, so the next couple of red flags is pressure to become too serious too fast.
Mm.
Too serious too fast, which is so true. The next one after that was you justify their bad behavior. So sometimes you in situations where you apologizing to your friends or families about, why he or she was upset, why he or she had an attitude, things of that nature. Um, and then the next one after that is they refuse to take responsibility or they have a hard time apologizing. I feel like that is big. Like
And both
sometimes I
are
feel like
very
you have to
important.
take right. Sometimes I had to learn, and I guess this is probably from my Christian background, but I had to learn sometimes it's not about apologizing because you agree with what you did was wrong. Sometimes you have to say, I may not felt like that was that big of a deal, but I realized that I hurt you and I'm sorry.
Right.
And I feel people have a hard time with
You want to
that.
know, but I hate for people to apologize and don't mean it. What you said makes sense. And I agree with the way that you said it. But a lot of times people just say, I'm sorry, just to say I'm sorry. And for that person to
Hmm.
move on. I don't want that. I want you
Yeah,
to understand why I felt the way that I felt, although you didn't understand it. And
yeah, yeah.
you apologize for, like you said, making me feel the way that I felt, and we're able to move on from that. And hopefully you don't ever make me feel that way again. But I
Right,
hate forced apologies. Do not
right.
ever force apology me,
No,
because
I agree with
mm-mm.
that. I would agree with that, but I feel like you can apologize to someone and be understanding and not agree.
Right. Right.
And I feel like people mix the two together. Like,
Right.
if I'm apologizing, that mean I agree with what you said. No, sometimes you could just be like, that ain't how I would feel about it. But if that's how it was, if that's how I made you feel, I'm sorry. Like, you could be understanding in that, even though you not agree with it, and then
Right.
you learn from it and grow and move on.
Right.
But a lot of people don't know how to do that.
Right. That's relationship, friendship, workship,
Honey,
environment
worship,
ship, life
anybody,
ship,
everything,
the baby ship,
everything. She said the
Dave
baby ship.
Chappelle ship.
Hey, well. Regina said, you feel like if you're accepting all that is because you may suffer abandonment issues or needy or scared to be alone. You preaching. Where's my soundboard?
We ain't fooling with you tonight, Regina. The last time we had you on, you almost had me crying, and I'm not crying tonight. Doggone it.
Right. But that is so true. It's so true. I totally agree.
Yeah.
The next couple of ones was that they're hiding something. I think this really big. Like, I've heard a lot of people talk about, I feel like they hiding something, or they haven't broken off with old boo, or whatever the case may be. They don't want me to be around their friends. They don't want me to meet their parents. They don't want, and they just be like, oh, okay, maybe he or she ain't ready, and just keep moving like it ain't a problem.
Yeah.
Look at you.
So okay, repeat it again. Repeat the first part again.
It just said hiding something. So hiding something mean, I don't want you to be around my friends, or I don't want to bring you around my family, or my phone is ringing, let me take the phone call outside, or it could, hiding something can fall into so many categories.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Hiding something can fall into so many categories. And I think it comes to a point where some things should no longer be hidden unless you're trying to like secretly propose or have a secret dinner or secret surprise birthday party and all that kind of stuff. Like, why are you taking your phone calls outside? Why can't you take them in the house in front of me? And we're in this. Like, if we're in it, we're in it. Now, if it's like a fresh relationship, we just known each other maybe a month, I don't necessarily think that a guy should cut off whoever he was talking to in a month of me talking to him, because he may not like me next month and may like the other person more, and realize that, okay, well, I talked to Chassie for a little bit. She's not necessarily my cup of tea. I'm going to go back here to Sunshine. So, you don't cut all your ties. I don't believe in cutting all your ties for one person.
I mean, I think that depends on where you at in your relationship, situationship, friendship, whatever. I think at the end of the day, it's just all about open communication. I feel like you just have to be comfortable in expressing who you are, where you at, what are you doing. I ain't saying go into details like me and Chassie just talking, but I'm going to tell you that me and Jennifer sleeping together. Like, I ain't saying all that, but just be open about where you at and communicate about it. Like, if y'all are just getting to know each other, obviously you're not going to cut off everybody just because I'm getting to know you, but you need to be honest in that moment about where you at and what are you doing.
Honestly, I would rather know who you're sleeping with. Because not necessarily, I'm not going to say necessarily I have to know like the exact person's name, but I would like for you to be like, hey, I'm out here casually dating. This is for somebody that's like dating, meeting people, getting to know people. Come to me and be like, oh, I'm single, but I'm talking to 3 other women, having sex with one, and that's who I'm having sex with on the regular or whatever, trying to get to know you. Like, I would like to know that type of things. Just for myself. It may be selfish, it may be stupid, who knows? I don't know. But I just want that open, I guess, communication so that I know what's going on. So if Betsy was to call you and you over there being all puppy eyed with Betsy, I ain't gonna get too upset that you puppy eyed over there with Betsy because I already know Betsy has been in your life for 6 months. I just been here for 3 months. I'm trying to get them puppy
Oh, that's
eyes
too
off
much
of your
detail.
face
That's
for
too much
Betsy
detail
and
for
get them
me.
over here
Okay.
for me. Cause I like competition.
I can't. I'm done with her. But on the flip, I can't. I'm trying to
Red
keep it
flag,
together, y'all.
red flag.
Red flag. But on the flip side of that, I feel like sometimes Regina said, okay. On the flip side of that, I think sometimes we feel like people are hiding things, and sometimes that's just your own insecurity too.
Right.
Like sometimes everything that looks a certain way in your head ain't what it was. Like just ask them straight up.
Right.
Why you take that phone call outside? Or why you feel like you had to need to leave? Or why you feel like I can't be around you? Whatever it is, just ask them.
But you want to know why we don't ask? A lot of times,
I don't
male
want
and
to know the
female,
answer.
because if they lie, you're gonna feel stupid, and then if they tell the truth and it ain't nothing, you're gonna feel stupid about asking, and that's why we don't ask.
You probably right. You probably right. Which is sad to say, but you're right. You probably right. So the next point after that was the partner is just downright mean.
Oh,
And then after that, the last one is they cross boundaries too early in their relationship. Meaning, the point, one of the example was they show up and introduce themselves to family or kids without discussion. Is there a immediate red flag?
to family and kids.
Family or kids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Some people I be hearing friends or people at work be talking about some people feel like they should meet your kids like week 4. Why?
So, okay, I go back and forth with this.
Okay.
I'm not a person that wants anybody to meet my kids like fast, as in you're my man, you're going to meet my kids as my man. However, I do like to see your energy around my kids because that's going to base me, it's going to let me know whether or not I need to go further or halt this. Because if you don't treat my kids right, or you act like they don't exist, then it's going to be an issue for me. But I'm not going to bring you into it in 4 weeks. No, because I'm still trying to get to know you or whatever. But some people wait too long.
Yeah.
And then it comes to a point where the step parents and the kids don't get along, and then I'd be like, well, I'm kind of on the kid's side. Like, why did it take so long for them to meet? And then you see that the stepmama or stepdaddy don't even treat your kid right, and you done fell in love with this person. I don't want to be head over heels in love with somebody and they don't get along with my kids.
Right.
But then I don't want to introduce anybody to my kids too early.
Yeah. You definitely have to find that equal balance. So you definitely have to do what's right for you and your relationship.
Right.
Like a lot of times we just think about what everybody else would think, what everybody else would do, whatever society says. Like just figure out what the point is for you and do what's best for you and your kids. And that's it.
Right.
Like I feel like we do that with a lot of parts in relationship. Right. It's different. Yeah. I feel like we do that with a lot of aspects of our relationship or our life or decisions that we make. Like we let the outside folks, outside family members, friends, whoever influence how we want to live our life. And then we end up not happy. Right. Which is a big red flag in itself. Be real exactly.
Ooh, we should have done a family red flag.
We should have. It might have to be next.
I'm muting, but I'm listening.
So the next point is why do people ignore red flags, which was infatuation, moving too quickly, wishful thinking, don't trust yourself, or red flags are mistaken for yellow flags. So people that are watching, which of those do you think is the biggest? Do you think infatuation plays a bigger part? Do you think moving too quickly plays a bigger part, which wishful thinking, that you don't trust yourself. Like you might see a red flag and you just continue to move on, like you are not reading the situation correctly or whatever, or that you don't trust yourself. I already said it. Or red flags are mistaken for yellow flags, meaning that you are making it, you're belittling the flag versus really paying attention to the red flag and analyzing it that way.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Did
I
you
was
hear
listening.
all of that? I don't know.
Yes,
I was trying to keep talking till you got back. But did you
I was
what
listening.
you saying?
Wait, it was one in particular that you said. I can't remember. Oh,
All
not
right.
repeat them.
All right. Number 1, infatuation. 2, moving too quickly. 3, wishful thinking. 4, don't trust yourself. Or 5, red flags are mistaken for yellow flags.
I think the last two, don't trust
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and red flags mistaken for yellow flags. I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the times we go into relationships and haven't dealt with whatever hurt or pain we dealt with in our past relationships, and we keep trying to move forward, and then we doubt ourselves. Like, is he really that mean? Or,
Mm-hmm.
like maybe he's not as mean as boyfriend number 2 was, and so we doubt it and we stay there, and it's a yellow flag, and then it
Right.
eventually turns into a red flag. So I think it's
Right.
definitely like the latter too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Regina agree with you. She said number 4, which is don't trust yourself, which I totally agree with. I feel like a lot of times we see these things, but we ignore them because we feel like we're being too hard on them, or that it's not as big as it need to be, or I've been single for this long and it ain't been working. Maybe it's me and I need to let this go. Like it's so many things that can play a factor where we don't trust ourselves and to feel the way we feel. But at the end of the day, you have to understand what you want, what you need, and live in that truth, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what. Not caring
Exactly.
about what nobody else think, not caring about what the society says that you're supposed to like whatever the case may be. You have to know that and live in your truth. But a lot of people, and I feel like especially women, that's just my opinion, feel like that we have to be careful about what our requirements are in a relationship.
But that's because a lot of people tell women that their requirements are unattainable and
Mm-hmm.
their standards are too high. So then a lot of
Mm-hmm.
women, they end up lowering their standards to meet what society has told them that is what they deserve. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
what you deserve. You
Right.
deserve what you want, and we need
Right.
to get what we want,
Right.
and stop listening to what everybody else is saying, because majority of the people that's telling us that whatever we want is not attainable or we need to lower our standards are people that are in situations where they are just there and they are not
Yeah.
happy.
Yes. Facts. Facts. That kind of goes back to something we talked about last week about marriage, single people not being able to give marriage people advice. Like some people feel like that's not the case. But I've heard married people give awful advice. Terrible advice. But because that's the mind frame that people have, we feel like, okay, they've been married for 20 years. They must know what they talk about. But does that work for you?
Right.
It
And does it make sense? Because
do. Like,
Jimmy been cheating on Barbara for 29 years. They got
yeah.
4 children together. He got 7 children all together by
Mm.
himself. And then we want to worry about what Barbara is telling us, and Jimmy ain't treating her right
Well,
because they.
facts. I'm so done. I'm so done. Um, but man, it's been great. We could keep going and keep going, but we are at 1 hour and 8 minutes. So I feel like we have to
Hello.
cut it off.
Hello.
But this has been an amazing discussion. Thank you all for who have been tuning in and sharing and listening and commenting and supporting us. We truly appreciate all that you have done. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm being extra. If anybody that's watching want to be a blessing to the ministry, I keep saying this, but it's so wrong. You can give to our Cash App at a money sign occasionally posh. If you want to be a guest, or if you want to send us some info to discuss on the podcast, you can email us at occasionallyposh@gmail.com. We would show appreciate it as well if you would please like and share our page. Go on Facebook, like, share, subscribe. I want to know what she's laughing at. Etc. etc.
I'm coming to you, woman to woman, Betty.
Hello, this is Betty. You might not know me. That is hilarious, Regina.
But I know.
But thank you for everything. Like I said, please subscribe to our YouTube page, follow our Facebook page. You can also hear this podcast on most audio podcast platforms like Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeart, Pandora.
You name it. Oh, look at him. Almost sound as good as me.
I can't. Anyways, thank you for tuning in, and bye.
Peace.